So now if we actually click one element in window of properties in here, that each of these tabs or categories actually has an example or elements. Let me just find elements in here, for example. Each one that you values or properties, there's no difference between them. If you right click on them, I will have some options in here. The first one is copy value. It means that the measurement will be copied, the column that is related to value. I mean, for example, as an example, I want to go to search set window where every place or like find item, I want to just set a name similar to these names. For example, in here for typing, actually I can right click on it and copy value will be selected actually, and then I will go, for example, to this part. Let me just click this one that, for example, is structural framing, copy value, and then I will go to part of search. Actually, I will do this action. Let me right click on it, rename, and then in this part actually I can Control V, paste it, and I can use it. Or for example, it will be copied out of this software, I don't know, Word, Notepad, every place that you want. Copy value means this one. If you right click on it and we click on copy row in here, so all of this actually line will be selected. Let me open Notepad that I can just explain them on Notepad. Control V, you'll see that all of this line was copied. I mean, name and everything that we had in here. Let me come in here, let me right click on it, copy row, and then let's return to Notepad. Control V, you will see all of the line was copied for me. So actually in this way, for transforming the information really fast, we can use it. So the next actually item is copy all. Copy all means all of the information inside this category. For example, if I'm in element, all of the element will be copied. Yes. If I return to Notepad, let me delete them. Right click, paste. You see all of the information was copied in here. You see? And it was pasted. It isn't just one element, it is just all of the elements in here. So by this way, we can just use the transformation of all of the features of one category really fast and nice. So let me just right click on it again. The next one is copy all, actually CSV. It means if you click on it, for example, you can go and actually export it as CSV format. If I open Excel in here, and let me just open a file, and in one of these cells, let me just Control V in here, you will see that they are exactly based on rows and columns. If I copy all in here, for example, if I would of course click on copy all, and let me just return to here, you will see they will be on just one cells. But copy CSV, the actually rows and columns really exactly and completely, they will be separated, and we can do really interesting actions in here. For example, the properties windows, it could be managed, or you can use actually the measurements and different actions, especially the actually things related to data tools that we will talk about them. And really important point in properties window, you have to be careful that if you click on each element in here, actually the categories, properties, they are all readable, yeah, and you can read them. So if actually you go into options, and then for example you will go to actually developer in here, you will see two options in here: show internal properties, show property internal names. Actually in here you have to be careful that if you actually activate the first item in here, in actually items in here, you will see a kind of parameter that has been added in the name of internal type, that if you click on each one, the internal type based on that thing will be displayed in here. So let me just set it in geometry in here. Let me just return to first object. So if actually you will activate the second item in here, actually for each of the properties or categories, inside the parentheses, actually you will see actually the internal name, internal properties in here completely will be written. Actually we'll use the internal property for example XML First, we'll use the window of related to quantification or different places, or even actually the part related to quantification, about mapping, that we'll talk about them in the future. We can use it a lot, of course, because by having internal names or internal properties, we're able actually do mapping about, for example, one properties to another, from one software to another software. By having, for example, the property names, it's really easy to be used. So by using, of course, these options, we can have access to the internal property names in here. Of course, in normal situations where by default they are not needed to be activated. The time that we need to activate them, actually, that we want to use, for example, the quantification. Here, for example, we can do mapping actually, or for example, we are going to use the XML files on Navisworks for example, finding some of the actions, of course, for ourselves. Let me just inactivate them. Of course, I wanted just to tell you these ones. If you need it, you can you can have access to the internal properties in here by this way. So let me click on OK. This is actually properties, and the next part we'll talk about the custom in future.